Hey guys, it is me, Tanya, founder of the TNG Designs Group Limited. I hope you're all keeping safe and well. Now, in this video, we're continuing the conversation of rebranding. And then specifically, we're going to be talking about the main purpose of rebranding to begin with. Now, I know in my previous video, yes, I kind of touched base on a couple of little things, but I want to deep dive into them in this particular video. And as always, yes, we're covering 3 points. Now, these specific 3 points are the main points where you need to make sure that you are really hitting home on, especially when it comes to rebranding in general and as a whole. If you want to make sure that you are standing in your best possible kind of a light, and if you want to make sure that you are doing so in a way that is congruent to your standards and your belief, as I always share, you want to make sure that you are actually concentrating and hitting the nail on the head with these key points that I'm going to be sharing with you. Now, before I do, as always, folks, I love the fact that you are watching my videos, but please can you make sure you do this next thing, which is to make sure that you're actually subscribing to my videos as well. And more specifically to my channel, right? Now, the reason why I ask you to do this is because if you subscribe to my channel, I then get to put even more information out there, all with the idea of making or even helping others to see that they are more than what they see, because that right there is super important for me. And here's why. There was a point in my life where I didn't actually understand that I was more than what I saw until somebody else pointed it out for me. And sometimes we need that feedback to be able to help us to just stand even more taller, but equally shine or even stand out in a different kind of a way that allows us to show up better. Show up better for our audiences, show up better for our peers, and more specifically, show up even more better within the industry that we're a part of. So, that being said, folks, please make sure that you go ahead and subscribe to this channel. Share this video, share this channel with all others who you feel that could really benefit or resonate with a message that I share, such as this, but equally with all videos that I share about branding specifically and the understanding of branding. Please make sure you go ahead and do so. And as always, stick to the very end, because I always showcase how you can make sure that you keep going with the information that not only have I shared with you in videos just like this, but equally how you can make sure you keep going with your brand, keep it moving so that you keep leveling up with the way that you're actually showing up as well. So that being said, folks, let's get stuck into this. So, okay, as I shared with you, we're going to be talking about 3 key things in particular for making sure that you understand what the purpose for rebranding is in the first place. Okay, so these main key things that allow you to understand the purpose for rebranding are rather super beneficial to you, super beneficial to the growth of the awareness of who you are. Now, if you remember or even watch my previous video on the idea of what rebranding means or what it is, to begin with, you know that I always talked about that there was 3 specific shifts to begin with that you got to be aware of, right? So they were growth, change, and progress. Now, with those in mind, you've got to recognize these next 3 things as well. And I'm going to go through them one by one this time. Now, with growth, change, and progress, with those specific shifts that also lead to transformation, I touched base on it in the previous video, but I really want to go into it on this particular video, and that's number 1, which is the idea of evolve. Now, evolve or evolving is what we naturally do when we go through those shifts. We would have evolved, especially through time, because people naturally do. You naturally start understanding your business in a different kind of a way. You actually start understanding your brand in a different kind of a way. You start naturally changing your values or shifting your values more specifically because your old ones don't actually serve you or didn't actually serve you in a specific kind of a way. You remember again where I shared you're going to start naturally feeling resistances to things that you used to say but you no longer stand for. Or even things that you used to really appreciate, but now it's something different. When you start feeling that resistance, that typically means that it's time to rebrand, or that typically means that you've got to start shifting on a few other things, simply because you've evolved. Now, the number 2 thing that you've got to understand when it comes to those 3 shifts is the idea of target. Now, specifically, I'm talking about those you are targeting when you are speaking to them, whether it be through your social media content, whether it be through your marketing, whether it be through your online content, whatever that may look like. or even your printed content. You've got to make sure that your changes or your shifts that you've experienced now allow you to make sure that you are still either representing the same people or wanting to reach out to the same people, or maybe then now, yes, the same people, but you're really wanting to home in on something that's completely out of the ordinary, or more specifically, that's a more niched aspect as to who they are. So I'm not talking about having a overview as to who they are. I'm talking about who are they really. So say, for example, you might want to reach a target of business owners. Maybe that's where you just started, existing business owners. But what if you took the time to understand that with those changes, those shifts that you've experienced of change with growth or equally with progress, you've also understood that now these business owners are business owners who are existing business owners, and more specifically, they are business owners within the coaching industry, or more specifically, they are business owners within the architecture industry or beauty industry, or whatever industry that you really, really want to home in on. And the reason why will always boil down to the really key experiences that not only have you experienced, but equally you've also noticed within that niche market. So those that you are targeting based off the shifts that you've made will also naturally change. They will also naturally transform. They will also naturally evolve because of time, because of the growth, because of the shifts that you've experienced. Now, number 3. With all that in mind, with all of the idea of evolving, with all the idea of targeting, you're naturally going to see or feel or experience what those shifts are through those elements, all because you are starting to reposition yourself. And that's number 3. When you're repositioning yourself, it is because of those shifts that you've had, and it is because you now recognize those key experiences that others have experienced, or maybe you've experienced, that you really, really want to pull out now. You really, really want to target and hit the nail on the head with when it comes to your messaging, when it comes to your marketing. With repositioning in mind, it now allows you to show up differently. It now allows you to show up in a way that is more authentic or congruent to your standards and more congruent to your beliefs as well. All because you've experienced those shifts and you now want to stand for something different. You now want to maybe not only stand for something different, but stand for something more. Stand for something more. What is it that you want to be known for? Always have that question in mind, especially when it comes to rebranding. So now, folks, I really hope that this video helped you. Please, as always, any questions that you have, go ahead and drop them in the comment section below this video. And on the note of making sure that you are standing true to yourself and standing true to your standards as well as beliefs, I'd like you to do this next part. Click on the link that's in the description box below. When you click on that first link in particular, you're going to be taken to a page which will ask you a few details, that's all. I'm going to need those details in order to be able to just send you some key information, a checklist in fact, to be able to help you to understand what are your standards, what are your beliefs, but more specifically how you can actually extract them and understand what they are today. Not what they were, but what they are today. So when it comes to this idea of rebranding, you don't feel lost. You don't feel like you're wasting time in an area or concentrating on key specific things that make no sense to you. You're going to get your clarity. You're going to get your understanding of a way to move forward more specifically, because that's super key. But equally, you're also going to understand how you're going to make sure that you are representing not only who you are, but equally also why you're really doing what you're doing, so that you can start sharing that message with your intended audience and start actually making better connections with them. So I really hope that this video helps you. Please, as always, make sure you go ahead and subscribe to this channel. Make sure you get your copy of that checklist. Get cracking with your brand. More specifically, understand, is it time to rebrand? Have you been experiencing those shifts? And that's a question I'm going to leave you with. So I will see you on the other side.